Hello, welcome to NCRT's Diploma course in the teaching of English. My name is Ganga Mahto and I am an assistant professor at NCRT. Today we are going to discuss competency based learning. Competency based learning is a learner centric approach that redefines how we teach, assess, and empower our students. In alignment with National Curriculum Framework for School Education, NCFSE, NCERT textbooks, CBSE assessment guidelines, this video will help you understand and implement competency based pedagogy and assessment in your school classrooms. I'd like to start with a quote from NEP 2020 which says, "To close the gap in achievement of learning outcomes, classroom transactions will shift towards competency based learning and education." The aim of assessment in the culture of our schooling system will shift from one that of summative assessment and which is primarily testing rote memorization skills to one that is more regular and formative, something which is more competency based, which promotes learning and development for our students and tests higher order skills such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. It says that teachers will also have to participate in 50 hours or more of continuing professional development programs per year, which may cover content and pedagogy with a focus on preparing and implementing pedagogical plans based on competency based education. So even the teacher's CPD will be more focusing on competency based education and teaching. Let us first try to understand the word competency. Competency is the ability of a person to apply and practice the knowledge acquired over time and experience. It is the application of skills, knowledge, and attitude and behavior to perform various functions in a standard workplace setting. Here, it is important to discuss the shift from minimum level of learning to learning objectives to learning outcomes to competencies. I'm sure you are familiar with these changes in assessment patterns. Initially it was MLL, minimum level of learning, which is an observable terminal behavior or minimum standard of learning that a learner has to achieve by the end of the course. It is mostly product oriented and the teacher's role is central in curriculum transaction. Learning objectives are intent statements by the teacher declaring what he or she intends to achieve by the end of the course. It is a narrow concept as compared to learning aims, which are more broadly conceived. It is conceptualized before the classroom interaction. That's why they said learning objectives should be replaced by learning outcomes, which present the state of what students or learners have actually learned. They are the parameters for assessment of learning and success of pedagogical approach. They are process oriented. They served as guide to conduct assessment for learning and student support services. The NCF, the Curriculum Framework 2023 for school education, shows a progression of learning from aim of learning to curricular goals to core competencies and specific learning competencies. So in the National Curriculum Framework for School Education, curricular aims have been articulated within each of the curricular areas. These aims are to be achieved by the end of each of the 4 stages of schooling. Curricular goals, on the other hand, are more specific statements that give direction to curriculum development and implementation in order to achieve these curricular aims. They are also specific to school stages, for example, the foundational stage and the curricular area, also for example in mathematics, in languages and so on. Competencies are specific learning achievements that are observable and can be assessed systematically. In the National Curriculum Framework, competencies which are only suggestive may vary in different contexts. They are directly derived from a curricular goal and are expected to be attained by the end of one particular stage. It suggests that summative assessments at the end of each stage of schooling should be based on these competencies. As competencies are attained over a period of time, Interim markers of learning achievements are needed so that teachers can observe and track learning and respond to the needs of learners continually. These interim markers are called learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are granular milestones of learning and usually progress in a sequence leading to the attainment of a competency. The learning outcomes enable teachers to plan their content, pedagogy, and assessment towards achieving specific competencies. Syllabus and content developers would have to adapt these learning outcomes based on context in which they are applicable. The National Curriculum Framework strongly emphasizes the importance of a clear flow down that must connect aims to curricular goals, to competencies, to learning outcomes. It is only such coherence, coverage, and connection arising from a rigorous flow down from aims to learning outcomes which can align syllabus, content, pedagogical practices, institutional culture, and more to achieving what we desire from education. NEP 2020 has articulated the vision and purpose of education. This National Curriculum Framework has also drawn the aim of school education from this vision of NEP 2020, which informs the knowledge, capacities, values, and dispositions that must be developed in students in order to achieve the aims of education. The curricular goals are in turn derived from the aims of education along with the other relevant considerations. The competencies are then drawn from these curricular goals and the learning outcomes from these competencies. Let us understand this with an example. If one of the aims of education is to develop rational and independent thinking or autonomy, one of the curricular aims in language education is developing effective communication skills. The curricular goals or CGs in the first language or R1 at secondary stage mentioned in the curriculum framework as CG3 is the learner uses language to develop reasoning and argumentation skills by engaging with a variety of audio and written materials. One of the competencies in first language or R1 at secondary stage C or competency 3.2 is the learner argues with proper rationale by carefully evaluating premises, and the learner recognizes his or her own emotional biases while listening or reading. Let us know some more examples of competencies listed in the National Curriculum Framework document. Some of them are related to language 3 or R3 at secondary level under CG2 are following. Learner develops the capacity for effective oral and written communication in different situations, formal and informal. C or competency 2.1, the learner listens critically and reads different news articles, reports and editorials to express their opinions. C or competency 2.2 is the learner asks a variety of questions on social experiences using appropriate language, open-ended, closed-ended, formal, informal, relevant to context with sensitivity. C or competency 2.3 says the learner shares ideas and critiques on the various aspects of their social and cultural surroundings in oral and written form. C or competency 2.4 says the learner writes different kinds of letters and essays in appropriate language for different audiences. And C 5.3 says the learner becomes familiar with some of the major word games in languages. For example, palindromes, spoonisms, sentences without given letters or sounds, riddles, jokes, antakshris, anagrams, etc. Now, let us try to understand competency-based learning. Competency-based learning or CBL is an educational approach that focuses on mastering specific competencies, knowledge, skills and attitudes that learners must acquire to progress in life, education and employment. It ensures that students move ahead only when they have demonstrated mastery, not merely based on time spent in class or rote memorization. In traditional models, the emphasis was on coverage of content. In competency based learning, the focus shifts to application, critical thinking, creativity, communication, and collaboration. The 21st century skills. It aligns perfectly with the aims of the NEP 2020 and the NCF SE 2023. Now let us discuss the key features of competency based learning. The main features of competency based learning are: number 1, clearly defined learning outcomes or competencies. Number 2, focus on deep understanding and skill development. Number 3, flexibility, pacing based on individual student needs. Number 4, continuous formative assessment to guide learning. Number 5, integration of real world contextual tasks. Thus, CBL provides scope to the students to go beyond the knowledge construction with the prescribed syllabus to acquire skills based on professional fields. Some of the contextualized learning environments for which CBL or competency based learning can be effective as learning approaches are: developing communication skills in English, for developing interaction, discussion, explanation, and demonstration at workplace; enhancing competencies such as negotiation skills, expressing an opinion, making an argument, presenting on a topic, etc. Demonstrate life skills like leadership skills, teamwork, group dynamics, problem solving, decision making, etc. Conducting experiments, writing projects, emails, and other internal and external communication. Now, let us discuss the roles of teachers in competency based learning. The teachers are expected to create an enriching learning experience and favorable environment for personalized learning to the learners. They work as motivators and facilitators to encourage interaction and discussion among students. They are not just content providers but opportunity providers for their learners to engage better in real life situations or situations similar to real life events. Flexible pacing based on individual student. Some of the approaches to CBL are task based learning, activity based learning, project based learning, and experiential learning. As teachers, we should provide opportunities to learners to participate in interaction, discussion, debate, presentation, case studies, etc. We should not only teach how to write an email but also provide them opportunities to send emails. For example, they may send emails to their teachers about their leave applications. They can send emails of their assignments and projects, etc. We should not only teach how to write a report but review their reports, edit them, and help them send these reports to the local newspapers for publication. Only when they could publish their reports, they will be happy that they have done the real work, tasks, and they have achieved competency in that area. We should not only discuss how to debate but provide them some topics and help them debate on these topics in front of a good audience. In fact, if we can also record this and show it back to them and analyze, ask them to analyze these reports and see what was good, what was not good. This will help them prepare for a real debating situation, like a group discussion or a debate. Let us now look at how we are gradually adopting competency-based learning in our classroom situations. On the basis of NCF SE, guidelines, we are restructuring curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment patterns around these competencies. Now, NCERT is bringing out new textbook on the basis of NCF SE 2023, and these textbooks are more competency based and will empower teachers to carry out and transact more competency based classrooms in all the stages of learning. CBSE in fact has also revised its curriculum and question paper formats to reflect competency-based designs, emphasizing conceptual clarity and practical applications. The test of assessment of listening and speaking conducted for last few years is a very good activity to test the competency of learners. It tests the listening and speaking competencies of the learners. There is a need to have more assessment of similar nature to implement CBL in its true nature. CBSE has now started including questions that test understanding rather than recalling. They provide real life scenario and ask for solutions to these problems. It requires learners to synthesize information from different areas. Now let us explore how you can plan and deliver a lesson based on competency based learning. As teachers, we can start or we can begin by identifying the core learning outcomes or competencies from the NCERT learning standards. We have documents on the basis of this. NCF SE has a list of competencies. NCERT has a document on learning outcomes for all the stages. You can look at these documents and try to find out what are the learning outcomes you have, you wish to achieve. What are the learning outcomes you have for a particular class of students. For example, in grade 10 English, competency could be learner is able to infer the meaning of unfamiliar words from context. Your lesson plan should answer these questions. What competency am I focusing on? What activities will help learners develop this competency? And how will I know that these competencies are achieved? This alignment between outcome, instructions, and assessment is the backbone of competency based learning. Incorporate multimodal instructions, like visuals, storytelling, role plays, digital tools, and hands-on activities to cater to various learner profiles. Competency based pedagogy is inclusive, flexible, and adaptive. Now let us talk a bit about assessment in competency based learning. Assessment in competency based learning is not about marks. It is about evidence of learning. Formative assessment is integral. It helps the teacher provide feedback, track progress, and adapt instructions. So if the learner is not doing good, the teacher's strategy should be designed in such a way that learner goes back and learns the competency again before going to the next competency. Instead of asking, did the student get the right answer? A teacher may ask, can the students apply this concept in a new situation? For assessment, use diverse assessment tools such as rubrics to assess skills like collaboration and critical thinking, portfolios to document ongoing learning, checklists for observable behaviors, self and peer assessment for reflection and ownership. As a teacher, your role evolves from a content deliverer to a learning facilitator. You will design learning experiences, not just deliver information. As teachers, we should provide differentiated instructions based on learner needs. We may use data from assessment to plan interventions. We may create a positive feedback rich environment inside the classroom. We should remember that CBL or competency based learning promotes equity. Every learner deserves to succeed at their own pace and in their own way. You are the architect of this success in the classroom. You may utilize NCERT, CBSE, and other similar resources, including exemplar lesson plans, online modules, and training modules on Diksha platform. You may also collaborate with other colleagues through professional learning communities or PLCs. Competency based learning is not a passing trend. It is the future of meaningful education. As school teachers, your engagement with CBL can ensure our learners or our students are not just exam ready, but they are life ready. Let us create classrooms that spark thinking, nurture skills, and build confident, competent citizens of tomorrow. Thank you very much. Best wishes. Namaskar.